In this video, we will be making Christmas cards that are easy to make so that you can do many of them and send to all your friends and family across the country. So these are the colors used. You can exchange them for other ones if you want to. The most important is that you exchange dark colors with dark ones and light with light ones. Before I begin painting, I always spray my palette if it's dry. Today is Monday, so it has dried a bit. And I have this sponge that I use to wipe off my brush in between. Today I'm gonna use this demonstration paper. I don't use this paper for original painting and like that, only for studying. So this is Fabriano, 25% cotton. For when I make art, I always use Saunders Waterford or Arches, but Saunders Waterford is my preferred paper. This one, Fabriano, is very good for beginners and for studying, because it's cheaper. But it's hard to use this paper when I use a lot of water and these flowing techniques. But today we're gonna paint on a dry surface, so this is fine. As you can see, I already wrote Merry Christmas. We're gonna fill that in with some ink later. If you want to see how I trace this on the watercolor paper, I will put it at the end of the video. And of course, if I was to make Christmas cards, I wouldn't take only one, I would do the exact same multiple times. But I live in Sweden, so I will not send cards that says Merry Christmas, they will say God Jul. And I already made them, and they are top secret. This is gonna be quick and simple. We're gonna use a few colors, and as I said, dry surface and one round brush. If you have one that has a fine tip, that is preferred. I will wet this so that you can see. This is Winsor Newton watercolor sable, size 7. So it carries a lot of water, and I can make thick strokes and also very thin strokes with it. So I begin by preparing some color. I think we have sap green in this one. So I mix paint with water. Today I want a watery consistency. I also like some dark green. This is Perylene green. Just a tiny amount of that one. And also I'm gonna use some yellow ochre. And a red one. My favorite is Quinacridone red. Used it for years. It's more pinkish and mix easily with other colors. Today we're not gonna do any mixing. They will blend a bit on the paper, but no more than that. As you can see, I always wipe off the brush in between that, because when I clean my brush, it's filled with water, and I don't want to bring that water to the palette because that dilutes the paint. So when I'm finished cleaning, I have one dirty bucket, and then I have one clean bucket if I need to pick up some water. I wipe that off. I will need more of this green. More green. So we will begin with the green paint, and I will use the brush like this. So I hold it and make my brush marks like this, because I think it's easier to get irregular marks this way. If I paint like regular painting, you can always, I can see the brush strokes, and I don't want to see the brush strokes. I want to see irregular marks. So I begin in the corners. And continuing around the paper like this. Cleaning my brush before picking up a new color, we'll do the yellow, adding a few dots here and there, cleaning my brush again, picking up the red color, and do the same thing. Is that enough? That's very pretty. Okay. I'll pick up just a tiny amount of this Perylene green. It looks black on the screen. Just to add some shadow. Now remember, this one looks kind of dark right now, but watercolor will look lighter when it dries. So I need it to be slightly darker than I want the finished result to be. Now of course you can add in other colors as well, purple, blue perhaps, but I will actually leave it like this. I will do one more thing. Let's see. I can use the same brush. I'll pick up the green color again. And just tap it. And perhaps some yellow. Clean water. Beautiful. Now splashing the paint is slightly addictive, so I need to stop before I think I'm finished. Now I had to let this dry before I fill in the Merry Christmas with a pen. We're back. This is now dry, and before I remove the masking tape, I will write this in. I have some problem with my camera. It's very dark. Maybe I can edit it afterwards. Just use an eraser. No, I will not. There we go, now you can see the colors in a more realistic lighting. And remember, don't use the eraser until it's completely dry. I managed to smudge the text a bit. To apply the text to the paper, I use this graphite paper, a transfer paper. So it has graphite on one side. And the text, I drew it before and then I traced it. You can also Google something and then trace it if you want to, as long as you don't sell it. So make sure it fits like that. That's good. And then with the graphite side down against the paper, flatten it, and then I use a regular pencil and trace. there it is. Then I used a pencil from the brand is Zig. This is calligraphy 2mm at one end and 3.5mm at the other end. Now I don't expect my pencils to be waterproof, so that's why I wait until the very end before I draw in the text. There you go! Merry Christmas!